Alright, what is up YouTube? Today we got another anime live action video for you guys, and this one's gonna be a little different today as I'm gonna be reviewing the live action Speed Racer from the Wachowskis that came out in 2008. So yeah, I just recently watched this film, and of course I've made a few videos about it on the channel recently, so I figured it was time to make a review video. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep this one pretty chill, unscripted. I'm just gonna talk about some of the things I liked, some of the things I didn't like, and what I think it really does for anime live action as a whole. So yeah, and I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of the movie, so definitely feel free to let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the live action Speed Racer film. If you've seen it, of course, and if you haven't, you definitely should, because I really enjoyed this movie. I think upon watching this movie, I really got the sense of what makes a good family-friendly movie. Like, this movie was really enjoyable for me as an adult, but I also feel like it would be really enjoyable for kids. And just to give a little bit of insight on what I mean by that and like show a little bit of comparison. So around the time I watched this film, I had also recently watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie that came out in the theaters recently. And yeah, of course, I'm a big Sonic fan and I liked the movie, but there were a lot of parts in that movie that were kind of not for me. And you know, I can kind of understand and recognize that, okay, there's humor in this movie that maybe isn't for me because I'm an adult. But for kids that were also in the theater, seeing them laugh, I'm like, okay, I guess this was meant for them, right? But there were parts in that movie, like the wedding and everything, that was just like, oh, this is kind of disgusting. Like the dance scene, I was like, oh, just take it out, take it out. And then there were other parts that I did really enjoy. So, but me, I feel like, you know, a film doesn't really have to make adults suffer just to please kids. And I feel like this film, Speed Racer, does that so well. Like I said, it was really, really enjoyable for me as an adult, but I also feel like it would be really, really enjoyable for kids as well. It just nailed that so perfectly. So yeah, Sonic Riders, take notes. But yeah, what I really liked, and I think what most people would take away from this film, is definitely the distinct visuals and just the unique world that the Wachowskis have made with this live action iteration. Everything is just so imaginative and colorful, with the environments, the characters, the designs, the cars, everything. The action, the special effects, like everything is just so out of this world and so ahead of its time for its time. I feel like it's kind of reminiscent of a Robert Rodriguez Spy Kids film, but done on a whole other level, I feel like. Now, I won't lie, there are certain parts that feel very blatantly CG, especially when the film does its close-ups. It gets a little obvious to tell, like, okay, you know, there's some green screen, or like the way the hair meshes with the background doesn't look all that natural, but vice versa. There are also some scenes that actually look like this was made in 2022 with how insane and colorful and creative and well done some of the VFX were. Like that one race where they're in the ice cave and like the headlights go crazy, like it's just, yo. And don't even get me started on like the final climax where he's just speeding through everyone. Like, yo, that was insane. That was so crazy, but so entertaining and so cool to watch and look at. Like, wow, like that action sequence really holds up to this day, and it's crazy. It's crazy how it's over a decade years old and it's just like, it still looks so good. Like, wow. But yeah, another thing I really enjoyed and was kind of surprised to see is the fact that underneath the acid trip visuals, there actually lies a pretty decent story. And I feel like the Wachowskis executed it very well because a lot of the visuals don't take away from the story, and the moments that the film needs to hit, it hits them. It feels like the creative visuals are always progressing the story, and I feel like that's something that most films aim for. But the Wachowskis did it in such a unique way that it makes sense why this film has such a huge cult following and why people say it was ahead of its time, because it was. Even the intro sequence is pretty stunning, and like you can just tell that the film is just bleeding with style. That's another thing I wanted to mention, is that I really love how this film bounces back and forth between the timeline of like what's being told. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but the way that they do it is so creative and it keeps you on your toes. For those of you guys that have seen it, y'all know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, you'll definitely catch on just in the first 10 minutes of the film. It's really playful and I really, really like it. That's something where it's like, it's playful for the kids, but it keeps you on your toes as an adult to kind of keep up with the story. And it's just really great how they do it, not only storytelling wise, because it keeps you on your toes but it's not too confusing, but it's also really clever and adds a lot of momentum to the transitions. So yeah, definitely wanted to point that out. Also, other things that I liked, I really liked, you know, the family and like the kid character, like with the monkey just really sells it for me. He's so adorable, and like he just really drives home that like kid slash family friendly feel to it, and just makes it work, you know, makes me able to kind of feel heartwarmed and like take me back to when I was a kid, when I see, you know, the monkey and the kid kind of up to no good and trying to eat all the candy and stuff. Like, you know, it almost gives me that classic like 2000s Disney Channel show vibes and stuff. And again, that's something that I feel like kids would be into, but adults can also appreciate, because I definitely appreciated that and was into that and able to enjoy that. And I really love the Speed Racer remix at the end. Go Speed Racer! Go Speed Racer! Yo, that shit kind of bang, not gonna lie. But yeah, as for things I didn't like, I will say it was really confusing, the relationship between the main character and Trixie, because Trixie kind of starts off as like this girl from a different family, I guess, but then later on you see her living with them and the family. And in the movie, I think several times she calls the dad like dad, and like they both refer to him as their father. At the same time, like the main character and Trixie, like they're obviously like together, like Trixie is his girl, so it's really confusing like what their relationship is. And I don't think it was meant to be that confusing, but they definitely didn't explain it very well, or I just missed it. But yeah, I was very confused, and I would hope that that's not his sister that he's dating, but I really don't think that's the case. I just think they kind of missed the opportunity to explain it in full detail, and probably didn't bother with it because, you know, they weren't thinking that in the time that this was made they would need to go that far in depth to explain it. And since it's a family friendly movie or a kids movie, maybe just didn't feel like it was necessary, or didn't want to boggle down the minds or whatever. But I feel like nowadays that might be something that would be more important to explain and make sure that, you know, we're not filling these kids' minds with incest, you know. But yeah, and I guess other than that, like there were some parts where the CG, you know, wasn't that great, if I'm being honest. But to be fair, I feel like the film really sticks to its style consistently, to the point where it's kind of hard for it to bother you. Like it gets to a point where if you are bothered by the film's CG or the film's effects, you're gonna stop watching after like 15 minutes or so. You know what I mean? You're not gonna finish the film if the CG and the effects bother you. Like, you know what I mean? It's so consistent, it sticks to it. Like the film really picks a style and sticks to it. There's no way you're finishing the film if you don't like that, if you can't handle it. Yeah, at some point you're either gonna be like, okay, I'm okay with this, or you're just gonna be like, nah, I can't watch this, you know? And yeah, I was definitely okay with it. And I feel like, yeah, it's because the film really just stuck to its style and was consistent with it. And I can understand that it was made in 2008 and the CG isn't all that great. But, you know, what's funny is I actually recently just started re-watching Wizards of Waverly Place, which I know isn't anime, but it's just funny because, like, I have Disney Plus, so I was like, oh, let me re-watch this. And yeah, some of the effects on shows like that are, you know, kind of not touching this film. So, unironically, you know, I mean, even though the effects were bad, like, they were good enough. They were good enough. Like I said, I mean, it's so consistent that, you know, it's really like you either finish the film or you just stop watching it. But yeah, the fact that I finished it should tell you that I definitely enjoyed this movie. And I highly recommend you guys watch it if you haven't seen it. Even if you've seen clips and think maybe it's not your cup of tea, I would just watch it. At the very least, if you want to just get really high, really drunk, and, you know, have an acid trip or just like trip out to something, you know, maybe just, you know, do that and watch it. But no, I really do think it's a good film. And yeah, I'm really glad I watched this. And I do think that it's an anime live action that was done really well. But of course, you know, it flopped and people didn't appreciate it when it came out, much like a lot of anime live actions. I've been saying this for so long, but I think the Ghost in the Shell movie is actually pretty good. Of course, you know, it's a whole other video. I'm not gonna dive into other anime live actions too much into this video, but you look at my channel, the reason why I started it is because of films like this, of films like Speed Racer, that come out and are actually pretty good and actually have a really good vision and tell a really good story, but they flop at the box office because everyone hates them. And you know, years later, 10 years later, of course, now it has a cult following. Now everyone wants a sequel. You know, now it's everyone's favorite film. But you know, when it came out, everyone hated it. You know, films like this, films like Scott Pilgrim, you know. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this one. Again, let me know what you guys thought about the Speed Racer film if you've seen it in the comments below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, that helps me out a ton. And yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.